Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first session of our Law Mom Lunch Chat. My name is Patricia Galindo, and I am one of the co-chairs for the Committee on Women in the Legal Profession. So today, you're going to be watching this because we had to record it over the weekend. It happens a lot of times with law moms. One of us has a trial today, which is on Monday, and couldn't attend. So we went ahead and we're recording this session because we thought it was so important to get this information out to you. But before we go any further, let me just tell you a little bit about what law moms are. So the Committee on Women in the Legal Profession a couple of years ago started this hashtag to identify programs that we were going to have, usually lunchtime get-togethers with speakers to talk about issues facing moms in the legal profession. Now that this pandemic has hit, this conversation is so much more important, and it's really become critical to some of the work that we're doing. So one of the ideas we had is, why don't we start off the week on a great positive start? So we're gonna have these lunchtime chats on Mondays. So Law Mom Mondays, keep it on your calendars. Every other Monday, we're gonna come to you during the lunch hour for 20 minutes. Something quick and easy, kind of like a podcast, but you can see us. We're gonna talk about a variety of different issues that are of importance to law moms here in New Mexico. How do you get us this information? Well, the chat should be open while you guys are watching this on Monday, and you can put it in the chat comments, or you can send it to the member services email at the New Mexico Bar. Morgan at the State Bar is going to be collecting all of those comments for us, and then us as panelists are going to review them, and that'll help guide what we program for our next Law Mom lunch chats. So before I get too further along, I really want to introduce all of you to what we're calling ourselves as the host, or the hostesses with the mostest, I guess. We're all Committee on Women in the Legal Profession members, and we're kind of spearheading this and taking this on. Yet another thing we're taking on, but we think will be very beneficial. So we're going to be the hostesses for these lunchtime chats. So hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Galindo. Like I said before, I'm a co-chair with the Committee on Women. I've been on the Committee on Women for quite a while, over 15 years. I've been practicing law for over 20. Currently, I'm working in state government with the judiciary. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, that's right. Why I'm a mom, or who's part of my family. I'm married, and I do have two boys that I'm trying to keep track of this summer. One is 11. He just finished 5th grade and will be moving on to middle school. So I'm closing that chapter of my life, which is a little hard. And then my oldest one is 15, started driving during this pandemic, which is really stressing me out. And he will be a junior in high school. So that's me. And I think I'm going to turn you over to Deanza so she can introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. This is Deanza Valencia. Thanks for joining us. Happy Monday. We are doing this early, as Patty mentioned, but we're thrilled that you're tuning in and going to be part of what we call healthy commiserating during this pandemic. So I've been an attorney for 10 years. I work with AARP. I'm in-house. I do governmental affairs. But I also serve on the elder law section, and I'm a former chair of the Committee on Women in the Legal Profession. I co-parent a 9-year-old little girl, Miranda Lynn, who is my life, and am just trying to, manage the challenges of what's been going on, and am happy to have a forum and hope to continue to dialogue and bring something worthwhile to you guys through this podcast or this chat.
Great, thanks so much, Deanza. And let's go to Cheryl.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Saavedra, and I am an attorney with Peak Legal Group. I'm actually married to an attorney, and between the two of us, we have 8 children. So we practice primarily family law together. I do divorce, custody, child support, everything involving the family, and my husband does adoptions and artificial reproductive technology. So we joke that he puts families together and I tear them apart. But notwithstanding, together we have 8 children ranging in age from 12 to 30. I have 2 of them are mine and 6 of them are his. So it's an interesting combination. I feel what I bring to the group is I have children who are over the age of 21. I've got a 21-year-old and a 23-year-old that are mine originally. And then he's got 4 daughters that are above the age of 21. And then I'm a step parent. So I have both the perspective of being able to be a step parent and bring that information to the group, and to be able to talk about what it's like when your children finally remove themselves from the house. And sometimes that takes a while, just saying. But I'm happy to be here today, and I'm happy to join in. I've been a member of the committee for approximately 2 years. I relocated from Roswell about 3 years ago. And so I'm very happy to join you today.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. You definitely bring a lot of different diversity to our group. And then finally, one of the fourth hostess with the mostest here is Jensen. So Jensen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Patty. So my name is Jensen Wallace. I have been an attorney for almost 4 years. I graduated law school in 2016. And I practice family law with a little bit of elder law and a tiny bit of estate planning. I am married. I have 2 kids. My oldest just turned 3 in February, and my youngest is almost 18 months. So that has been a whole different experience during a pandemic to have 2 small children that we're trying to maintain. I have been a member of the committee for almost a year now, and I am just really excited to have this forum to connect with other moms and kind of commiserate together.
All right, great. So now we've all introduced ourselves, and just to give you guys an idea of what we think these lunchtime chats are going to be, one of our concerns is if you don't have a fellow female attorney in the town that you're in, or even at the firm that you work at, you might feel really overwhelmed. I'm very fortunate to have a great group of girlfriends that are attorneys, and we've been talking about that. And guess what? I'm pretty certain that most of us are deemed essential. None of us got a break during this pandemic. I know when I was on social media and some of my friends that were teachers were talking about, this is the greatest thing, and they were doing all these great things and cooking and doing these things with these kids. And I was literally trying to figure out how to do my regular job. I had all these additional responsibilities. The judiciary remained open, and I was being asked to create policies that didn't exist, and there was nowhere to go. And then take care of children for almost 4 weeks, because APS, that's how long they're on break. And trying to manage all that, and a parent that's over the age of 70, couldn't say that word, and we were having to shop for her and other friends and family. It was just a crazy couple of weeks of my life. And I think if you're feeling like that, this is what these lunchtime chats are for, so that you know that we're all in this together. And I hate that word, but we're all trying to do the best we can professionally and personally. And it's the most challenging thing I've ever gone through in my entire life, because trying to be on top and doing a great job professionally and feeling like I'm not a horrible mom and neglecting my kids and letting them game all day and do all sorts of stuff is overwhelming. So what we're here for is to let you know you're not alone. And we're going to try to, knowing that we all feel that, because if we're women and we're attorneys, I'm pretty sure we're pretty driven and organized, and this is rocking our world, right? I think that we all can say that. So what we're trying to do is, instead of just talk about it and complain about it, let's talk about some things that we're doing, what's going on. So for me, like I said before, my biggest challenge was doing my regular job, everything extra that the pandemic was making me responsible for, and trying out how to parent my kids at home, and keeping them entertained and keeping some kind of a semblance of normalcy. So that was my biggest challenge, I think, during the pandemic, and I think it's still going on for me now. So going in the same order, Deanza, what's the one biggest thing that kind of rocked your world these last couple of months?
Well, I think that it's all been pretty challenging. And I think that our nature, and I think this is why it's important to have a forum of other female attorneys that we can turn to, because we're used to not just existing. We're used to thriving and continuing to push the envelope. And I think we have to be okay with just surviving and not necessarily thriving during this time. There's never enough to go around with children. As we were prepping for this, I saw Jensen's daughter pop in, my daughter popped in on these Zoom calls. It's just part of life now. So, and so it's just sort of, it's challenging, but I would say a couple of things have been the hardest part. One is, I think the bulk of these educational responsibilities, being that our children are in school, fall to women. Our careers or our jobs haven't let up at all. So we're trying to do both, which we've already probably pushed ourselves to the limit, and then we're in that strange space. Frankly, I think there's something real about Zoom fatigue. There is literally scientific research that being on these types of calls and watching them all day, it overwhelms our brain. And I think the most challenging part has been that the days sort of blend together. It's like Groundhog Day. And because we're not like leaving the house, the time just kind of continues to go. So that would be my biggest challenge.
Cheryl, how about you? What's been your biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest challenges that my husband and I had is that we have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old that still needed to be homeschooled. And we're very fortunate that our law office is only 4 minutes from our house, but we were working all day. I was working in the office, he was working from home, and the boys needed to have somebody pay attention to them all day to make sure that they were doing their homeschooling. And we were very, very fortunate that their mother is a school teacher. And so we modified all of our agreements so that she was able to homeschool them during the day and maximize that time for them. And we were able to continue to work all day, and then we took care of them all night. And so I think during the pandemic, that was a little bit of a challenge for us in the beginning, trying to remember that we're not just lawyers and we don't just have responsibilities to our clients, we have responsibilities to our children. And we were able to come to an agreement, and that's really what the parenting is about when you're a lawyer, is trying to come to those mutual agreements that are in the best interest of your children. I can tell you the judiciary sent out an email, an executive order to all the attorneys that said the pandemic shall not inhibit any parenting plan to the best extent possible. And that was an important message to, I think, a lot of the clients that we had, and I know to a lot of the attorneys who are practicing in family law as well.
Great, thank you. And I wish I had somebody in my family that could have taught my kids. That would have been, I mean, I think that was one of the biggest challenges for me as well. You know, Cheryl, is my kids. So my youngest one was really my easygoing, lucky, happy kid. This changed him. He was very, very grumpy. He refused to do his work. APS was on a pass-fail system, and he looked at me, being the lawyer's kid, right? So what are they going to do to me, Mom? I was doing all my work before, so basically if I do nothing else, I still think I'll pass. And he would look at me, and his biggest thing was, and guess what? Even if they fail me, I think I'll do 5th grade again. That'd be kind of cool. Like, he's afraid I can go in middle school. He started telling me these things. How do you argue with the child? Like, all of his reasoning was so on point. And my high schooler, which I worried about, he was on it. He even got an award. He was one of only 8 kids in his grade that went to every class, and he did it. And he raised his grades and got this stuff, and guess what? It didn't count because it was pass-fail. So anyway, that's my little drama with my kids. So my 5th grader wanted to just be like, let's rock the system. Let's see what the least amount I can do, and let's see if they pass me. And if they don't, I'm cool with that. And how can I argue with an 11-year-old that's struggling about not having sports and all the stuff he did? So anyway, that's kind of like my explanation. It wasn't the greatest, and we really did struggle a lot, and we still are. So that's one of my things is how I do that. So, but let's go to Jensen, because she has a totally different perspective of having really small young kids.
Yeah, it's definitely been an experience that has not been fun. And as Deanza said, we were surviving, not thriving. And so my husband works at a job that has very inflexible hours. And so he was doing conference calls like all day long. And so when you have 2 small children that can't be left alone, somebody has to take care of them. And so generally that was me. And so it's hard trying when you both have to work during the day and take care of kids. It just doesn't get done. And one of the things that really helped me, I saw it said, we are not working from home. We are trying to work while we're at home parenting. It's completely different than just taking a day off and working from home.
That's good.
And so my youngest just started walking a couple weeks ago. And so you can't do a hearing on the phone while holding a toddler. Like, it just doesn't work. So we definitely struggled a lot. Our daycare finally opened back up. So the kids have been going to daycare, which has been enormously helpful, but it was extremely difficult and I think very isolating. I still don't have that many friends that have kids. And so it's hard when you don't really have anywhere to go. You don't have anybody to help. So we're doing better now, but it it has been a learning experience for all of us, and one that I would really not want to repeat.
Right.
You
Yeah,
survived well.
yeah, no, thanks, Jensen. I think that's how we all feel. And, I like, my thing was to get through the school year. That was like the first hurdle. And now we're struggling with what to do in summer. All of our summer programs are off. So for those of you who are watching, I have this beige kind of thing back up behind me because I moved my office. We have a great basement, but the kids were also studying here. And all of a sudden they're doing like the little army crawl, trying to go underneath because they need to go to the bathroom. There's all this stuff going on. So finally, and you can see that there's like toys and there's all sorts of, I think my Cricut machine, there's all this arts and crafts stuff because our basement is down here. So finally I just got over it and I thought I'm putting on this plain beige background. I don't like the virtual backgrounds. And so this is really great because if they're here, they're actually really good about being quiet. They can walk behind that. And, that's one of the things I had to do to cope and try to figure out how to exist. But mine are older and thank goodness they don't take naps, Jensen, but they definitely, and when mom's busy, by default, they play video games. And guess what? I guess I'm okay with that because I need to work. And this is what it takes. And they also need to, I read somewhere that playing video games or they're texting and doing stuff or whatever they're doing is their way of kind of relaxing. And that's their coping mechanism. When I read that, it made me feel a little bit better. So I want to tell you all that. It's not that it's my ideal, but you know what? If that's what they're doing because it kind of relaxes them and that's their normal, then I'm okay with that. So talk about that. I think we're running out of time just a little bit. How much time do we have left, Jensen?
3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes. So guess what I was thinking we could do to leave you on a positive note. Again, make sure you send in your recommendations and your ideas for what we can do for our future chats, because those are going to be kind of organic and free-flowing. As we get ideas and we find speakers, if you want to speak on this, 20 minutes is quick, but let's share some positivity. Let's share some ideas of how we're managing all this. I hate the word balancing. There is no such thing. You either rock as a mom, you rock as a lawyer. Very rarely do they balance out, right? So we're surviving what we're doing to do things, but let's talk about that. But on that same note let's talk about what our guilty pleasure has been during all of this. Because I think that would be kind of funny to hear from all of you and maybe give you guys some ideas of what you can do to cope. So let's go backwards. Let's start with Jensen. What's your guilty pleasure?
I have been doing a lot of baking. I do Zoom baking with my friends in Texas. And so we've been finding new projects from New York Times recipes. So they're all like very extensive. And I also have been reading a lot, which I really missed doing. And it's hard to do with small kids, but I have just made somehow time for that. And so I've really been enjoying just reading some books.
Great. That sounds like fun. Okay. Cheryl, what's your guilty pleasure?
Well, I'm a bit of a podcast junkie, and I love to exercise. So I commit to myself that I have the opportunity to walk and listen to my podcast at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. So during the pandemic, I was walking up to 7 miles a day, listening to my podcasts. And I felt that when I gave myself that hour in the morning before I went to work and an hour at night after I got home, that I was so much more relaxed, so much more ready for work, so much more ready to listen to the people that I needed to listen to when I got home. Sometimes when you get home from work, everybody wants to talk to you and, I need this and I don't have any toothpaste and, the dog threw up on my sheets or whatever the situation is. And if you just give yourself, whatever it is that your guilty pleasure is, if you give yourself that, then it makes you so much more of a better mom and a better wife and a better lawyer and just generally a better person.
Great. Deanza, what's your guilty pleasure?
Well, I've had to learn how to do a few things I never had to learn how to do before, being that, you couldn't have extra services. And I laughed that my favorite hobbies were eating out, going to non-essential places, and touching my face. But I have learned how to make memes and have entertained myself with my meme making over the quarantine. But it's kind of fun, keeps me entertained.
Great, that's funny. You'll have to show us how to do that.
You have to teach
Because
us.
my guilty pleasure is
Way fun.
Good. I don't even know if I've had time for guilty pleasure. The one thing though I'm really trying to do that seems to relax me is we were doing meal delivery services when you buy the food, but you still have to make it. But really throwing myself into some of these recipes and learning. My mom really didn't cook growing up. Learning how to cook and some of these techniques and just being able to give my family healthier meals. We order 3 a week and all the ingredients come in, which was good because I didn't have to shop. but you know, I know they're getting a vegetable in once a day at least. But just diving into making those meals the best that I can, I kind of block it out. I have this whole little routine. Really is this Zen thing, and I think never in a million years would I think that cooking, because I wasn't very good at it and nobody really showed me, was it, but it makes me feel I can follow, something I can control and something that I can do. So that's my little guilty pleasure, is trying to feed my family healthy meals and following these recipes. Kind of like Gentleman, not as fun, and it's just my little world. So I think I heard the little timer going off, so that must mean that we're out, and we want to make sure we keep these to 20 minutes. But just a really friendly reminder, first of all, thank you so much to the hostesses. This is our Saturday afternoon that we're doing this for you, and we had a couple of technical difficulties, actually multiple ones, to get this recorded. But I think now that that's out of the way, when we go live on our Mondays for our Law Mom Mondays, it'll go much smoother because Morgan at the State Bar is going to run this, and she probably has a technology capability that all of us are lacking a little bit.
So Alexa probably won't go off right in the middle of recording.
There you go, probably. And so the other thing is, make sure to send in your recommendations for future topics. So what'll happen is, for future ones, you'll either see me, Jensen, Cheryl, or Deanza. We'll be the host next time, and each of us are going to have a topic. So send us ideas. If you think that you'd love to come on to our little Law Mom Monday, 20 minutes, and share something, reach out to us. So reach out and email to member services at the State Bar, or put it in the chat comments. Or if you jotted our names down, I know that you can email us. So we're part of the Committee on Women in the Legal Profession. This has been so much fun and went so quickly. And we really think that this will be beneficial. We hope that you all enjoy it as much as we do. And any parting words, Deanza? You're the one that does a lot of publicity for ARP. Any positive words?
No, just thanks for your time, and you know, keep surviving. Don't worry about thriving, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.